Yes, everybody. So my Bordeaux save has finished. Fourth tier to Champions League final, La Liga in 11 seasons. And over the last few years, we've really kicked on. And it's because of these three tactics. Bordeaux, we've got a 3-4-1-2. We've got a 4-3-2-1. And we've got a 4-3-1-2. Now, I'm going to go through all of these tactics. It has been spectacular in Liga this season. We've swapped between games in terms of changing the tactic 4 games and halfway through games. Also tweaking the mentality and the tempo during and before games as well, just to give us that nice little balance. Squad profiling will be another video. I'm going to cover that in a video probably start of next week. So if you want to know how to kind of build a squad that you can play in various different ways, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Patreons as well. All 3 tactics will be available for you as a direct download right now. So make sure you check out the Patreon link down in the description. Everyone else, we're going to go through all the team, player instructions, tweaks and everything so you can have a go at building kind of a club tactical philosophy. I'm interested to know, what do you do with these 3 options here? Do you have an attacking or defensive one? Do you have 3 complete different styles? Someone may do for their first one. Let's just tell you what, let's go to the presets. We might say, right, we're going to do a tiki-taka. Let's go 4-3, tiki-taka. And then for the second one, you might say, right, let's do some gegenpressing, a bit of 4-2-4, wingers and stuff like that. And then the third one, you might say, right, let's do something super defensive. Let's go down the route of maybe parking a bus or having a direct counter-attack, maybe even just a 4-4-2. And everything then means that your squad profiling is, number 1, really difficult to work on. And number 2, it's not really that realistic. How often will you see a team go from a gegenpress wing play to then maybe a vertical tiki-taka to then a park in the bus and a cautious approach? It's not realistic. So in my 3 tactics, they're all actually very, very similar. And the idea is, depending on players available and depending on what opponent we're playing against, dictates how we then set our team up, which tactic we play, and also how we've gone from more of a cautious approach with one of the tactics to then build into 2 very more aggressive attacking tactics. All right, guys, a little bit different, but definitely a tactic video that I hope you enjoy. Smash a like. Let me know down in the comments which of those 3, what do you do with those 3 tactical presets, spaces, training, whatever you do, let me know down in the comments. Okay, so the first one was a little bit of a couple of seasons in kind of work. You know, on the channel, I absolutely love a back 3. And the issue that we're getting, we just found ourselves a little bit too defensive. However, as we were building our squad full of sort of like South American wonder kids, we just weren't at that level to take on the big boys in terms of Marseille and PSG in Liga, and then also sort of like the bigger teams in Europe once we started qualifying for Europa and Champions League, etc. So we had to build slowly, and then as we've gone on, we've got a little bit more competitive in terms of how we approach games. We tend to dominate the ball more. Obviously, our squad has improved technically, ability-wise, attribute-wise, so then that's given us a scope of setting us up. So this was the first one that we actually had. It's a 3-4-2-1, and the idea is that we get a little bit of width. It's got good balance. It's asymmetrical, but I think it gives us good balance in and out of possession. So the idea is, obviously, we've got a shadow striker that will join late into the box. One of them roles on FM that I absolutely love. We've also got, with the counteract of that, we've also got Dilmar, who's a very attacking right wing-back, kind of going on the overlaps there. And on this side, we're a little bit more cautious because we've got an inside forward who'll hit these spaces. And then we've also then got a Georgiev, a complete wing-back on support. Necessarily will get round, but maybe not as high as what the right side would. I think it's important that the right side gives us that width. The middle 2, I think you can get away with a little bit more in terms of attacking roles. We've gone with a deep line playmaker on support and a Mazzala. And the idea is, because of this role here, which is a libero, in possession, the libero will move in and play as a little bit of a number 6, allowing the Mazzala to drift. But as you can see, very much both on support roles. We've also then to counteract that, just to make sure we don't get done on counterattacks, just in case that libero's out of position. We've got our 2 wider centre-halves, because I don't need them to be wide ball players. We've got enough playmakers in this sort of like area with the libero, the deep line playmaker, Mazzala. We don't necessarily need ball-playing defenders, so I've gone bog-standard central defenders on defend, very big, very aggressive defenders, and they're both on cover. Playing goalkeeper as well, just going to play it into the back 3, and then we play. Complete forward on attack, that is so then he can link play as much as possible, and then obviously we're going to get that out-to-in run from that inside forward, and then the shadow striker making them late runs, and you do also see the shadow striker coming into these areas. One little tweak that I would definitely make if you're playing against better opponents sometimes, in his player instructions, I will often get him to man mark and track the left back a little bit. If you're just feeling like the left back is working well with maybe he's attacking midfielder on left, you're getting a few 2v1s in here, definitely help. Putting that shadow striker on just as a man mark on that left back just helps you out of possession. And just player instructions as well, super simple. The only one we've got is complete wing back on support. He has got cross more often, generally because the guy that we've got has got 15 crossing. We're pretty good in the air. All our strikers were sort of like 6 foot plus, so it made sense to kind of get as many balls in from maybe deeper positions rather than sort of like that working into the box. Now, the team instructions have actually stayed the same for all the instructions for all three. Now, the team instructions have actually stayed pretty much the same with a couple of little tweaks that we'll talk about at the end. But basically, attacking mentality, really aggressive. We're trying to be slightly higher tempo, shorter passing, play out of defence, and focus play through the middle. We've got these on just a little bit, just so we can dominate the ball in possession, that we're not too gung-ho, slow, slightly higher tempo, because I said a lot of the time we were, I would say underdogs. We were kind of rated to finish mid-table, and we kind of exceeded our expectations with this. I was wanting to really, for us to keep control of games as much as possible. We had absolute quality in the final third with our sort of like wonder kid South American strikers and attackers. So it was, can we concede the least number of goals as possible? Not be defensive, but try, if we stick to one a game, can we then nick a couple down the other end? And we can do that better with these team instructions in here in terms of controlling the game and the ball. Play out of defence, focus the passing through the middle. We've got 2 bodies. Obviously, the inside forwards coming in there with striker, shadow striker. And what that actually does do is it obviously focus the play down the middle. It sucks the other team in. And then what you do get is a lot of opportunities late for this right wing back. So Dilmar is a decent right wing back, finishing of 2 and crossing an 11, and he's ended up with 10 assists and 4 goals, because basically the team is sucked in really narrow because of the bodies we've got, and it allows him free then to get into the penalty area either with crosses or shots across the goal. Out of transition, obviously counter press. In possession, no, we're trying to hold shape. So once again, we're not trying to be overly aggressive with it. I was trying to dominate the ball and be a little bit more controlling in our performances. So we've done that. We distribute the ball to centre-backs. There's 3 centre-backs in there to play. So that's why we've done that. And goalkeeper rolling it out. He's on goalkeeper as well. He's not going to do anything fancy. I found ourselves doing lots of turnovers with that goalkeeper on attack. So roll it out, steady ourselves in possession, and then build. Generally, brilliant technical players. There's a lot of technical roles in here. Libero, the 2 midfielders, inside forward, complete forward needs absolutely everything, and a shadow striker, sort of like that second striker. So a lot of technical roles. So a slightly higher tempo, trying to keep the ball, holding the shape, and being a little bit more, can we pass our way through them through the middle of the pitch if they allow us to? And then out of possession, I always worry about that defensive 3 at the back. And especially as well, if you notice as well with the initial tactic, we've not put the 2 midfielders in that DM. I don't think there's a need for it, especially when you've got 3 at the back and you've got 1 complete wing back on support. We're playing the libero who'll drop into that number 6, sort of like in possession, and it gives you a really good rest defence as well out of possession. So more often trigger press, prevent short distribution, step up more, because the thing is that we dominate that ball as much as possible, trap outside and stop crosses. All right, always stop crosses. I never like to see balls coming into the penalty area. Can we stop crosses? Can we trap outside as well? Even though we've got heavily focused, can we trap outside? The whole team shuffles across. It's kind of a better way of pressing. Easier in terms of real life terms in setting up pressing traps and pressing triggers. Okay, so that's the first one. I was more than happy with it. So this was the season that we actually had with the tactic. It was season 10, 93 goals, 5 defeats, only 33 conceded, which we wanted. Now, the 93 goals was spun a little bit because, as you can see, we scored a total of 27 goals against Angers and Nancy. We've won a couple of 10s and a 10 and a 9 and an 8, I think, in a couple of games. So that then kind of distorted the numbers a little bit. And I did think that there was times in games where we could dominate. And once we'd kind of improved our squad to a certain level, that we were ready to then move to a 4 at the back. Now, this is where the squad profiling, how to sign players to make up a squad, gets very, very important. So we're definitely going to cover it in a video. But as you can see, the starting 11 from this tactic, there's only a couple of tweaks. No team instructions have changed. A couple of tweaks tactically completely changes how you dominate games. And the only real noticeable tweak is the libero stepping up to be a halfback. So then out of possession, we're a little bit more attacking, a little bit more positive because we've got a player further up the pitch. Obviously, the libero only steps into that number 6 role really when he's in possession. Anything else, he's sort of like dropping off. We've changed the cover roles. We've got a bog standard defend and cover, which I think works quite nicely. So 2 options there. We've got a ball playing defender this time because we haven't got that libero. And obviously we know the halfback's going to come in. The halfback is the libero. So 14 passing, 15 tackling, tremendous off the ball. One of our better players in the squad. So we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more. But it just gave us that little bit more in the attacking third. A little bit more in terms of how we set up defensively. We've got we've now got an outnumbering in there. So even in some games, you might think the three at the back would work better defensively, but then at times we would get overrun in midfield with maybe teams playing with maybe a diamond or something like that, maybe a 4v2 sometimes in there, depending on what the shadow striker was doing. And we've kind of got ourselves now a little bit of an offset diamond with our shadow striker there. No other team instructions and player instructions for it. And then the third one is once again really similar. So exactly the same starting 11, but because of the squad profiling we've done, it means that we can tweak and change. And then it completely changes, I think. Only a couple of tweaks completely changes how your team sets up in possession and out of possession. So now we've got our shadow striker starting really high, and he's been exploiting that space in between the left back and the centre halves a lot more. It allows a little bit more space as well. The complete forward is now complete forward on support, so he's going to drift in a little bit. He's going to drag a defender with him, and then that will allow Paulo Roberto to go in that inside forward to make those spaces. And then the back four's the same. Obviously, Dilmar's got a lot of running down that side, but because of the offset formation we've got here, Sayas is definitely going to work that right channel a little bit. So at times it even looks a little bit like a 4-3-3 in possession. Now, we've only done that at certain points, notably when we went to Anfield and we were 4-1 down and we went with our shadow striker approach. I tweaked little things. I'll tweak a couple of I'll talk about what we tweaked for the first leg. But kind of, despite the score, kind of did work because they didn't score actually till the second half, as you can see, 50, 52, 83 and 93. So, look, it was deserved, but for 50 minutes, it was pretty much a really good defensive performance and away performance against what you would class as probably a stronger team than us in the Champions League. We then had to go chasing. And as you can see, we changed the tactic and went to something. We did this a couple of times in games that we were chasing and testing. So it wasn't as if we just decided to plug it in. It was already in the work for something like this where I thought we absolutely need to go for it. And we also changed the tempo. So the tempo in particular has been things that we've changed. So let's say when we play PSG, we might even go with the more defensive one. And the tweaks that we've just made, and it does help generally with your in-possession stuff, is we lower that down to positive, and then we lower that down to either standard or even slightly lower. To kill games as well, when you're 2-0 up and you've brought maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 subs on, you're absolutely coasting. I've actually even done that. And I've done that. And I've time wasted frequently. I've been really pragmatic in terms of trying to rest players and slow tempo down and not to be a basketball game. I think most of the time when it is a basketball game, we're fine. But obviously that takes up a lot of energy of the players, and injuries are always a worry. And when you're in these last stages of big competitions, your Sunday, Wednesday, you really need to look after your better players. So this is what we were doing. And then once again, that was then relevant to all the other tactics. A lot of the time later on as well, we would go back to this one. Even if we were playing the more attacky one, because of our squad profiling, I keep saying them 2 words, but it's super important. Because of what we've done with our transfers, it's enabled us to really switch. And if you think about how teams have plan A's and plan B's, there's not much difference. It might be a role tweak. It might be a player tweak. That's all it generally is. I've not really changed anything else, but just a couple of tweaks. A couple of higher starting positions, role adjustments to support to attack or attack to support. The shadow striker starting a lot higher because the shadow striker will come into here. He will come into it. If you check out our goal in the Champions League final, the equaliser against Arsenal, that was from a shadow striker. That was from a shadow striker who picked up the ball in here and ran half the length of the pitch to score. So they do like to drop in. So with that, you have loads of different options. As I said, everything else has stayed the same on that side. There's no other player instructions, really. I've not had to do anything. We do an occasional man mark, and if I just see something that I don't like, in terms of maybe this one as well, the advanced forward, sometimes because out of possession, it'd be nice. Maybe sometimes line up in a bit like this in a 4-3-3. Once again, get him. That was the shadow striker role. Now he's an advanced forward. Can he then mark that left back and just help that right back a little bit more. We've got wing back on attack. I've not gone complete wing back. I don't want him drifting in. He's not much of he's not much of a ball player. He's there for his physicality, his aggression, his directness. And then on the side, Georgiev is a little bit more of a player, technique, good luck, crossing 15. So we're wanting him to be a little bit of a support option, maybe crossing from a little bit deeper. But Dilmar is the engine. Remember, because on both tactics, if we've got our shadow striker, we need to get that width from him in the 3 at the back and at the 4 in the back as well. All right, guys, as I said, it's built us up. Look, that's our final season. Where are we? Our final season. Not as many goals because we didn't have those numbers. Remember those 9 and that 27 we scored against those 2 teams across the season. But we've only conceded 20 goals. And the tactics for the second season were generally the 4 at the back. 20 goals, 75 goals. We've absolutely bossed it. We did unfortunately get knocked out of the Champions League final to Arsenal on penalties. We went with the 4. I was more than happy with how we played, to be fair. We just missed out on the day. Pretty close game. Just didn't maybe create what we wanted. All right, those tactics are now available. So tactics, how do you set them up? What do you do? Love to hear what you're doing down in the comments. Do you do it how I've said not to do it? In terms of 3 completely different systems, that's a very hard one to train. Remember, you're trying to improve tactically with your team, and having 3 complete tactics would definitely, think of real life, that would be confusing, wouldn't it? So just a couple of little tweaks, I think personally works super well, and then it really does help with your transfer recruitment, how you recruit players, what roles you need for certain positions, and we'll go through that in another video, how to build a squad with your transfers to suit tactics, and I will kind of show you my method to the madness that has helped us take Bordeaux from the 4th tier to Champions League final, Liga Champions in, I think it was 11 seasons in the end. So really happy with the performance. Go check out the series. It's just finished. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.